Audio Echo Digital.
With over 10 years of video experience, he has met and worked with a variety of talented individuals, from actors, actresses, directors, producers, writers, content creators, musicians, and filmmakers. From his humble beginnings as a young volunteer at his local church to becoming an award-winning filmmaker, you get to hear stories of his long journey to success. Welcome to the One More Chaunce podcast, hosted by filmmaker Chauncey Jackson.
I received a text message from Van one day, and he said that he had some really good news to tell me. We spoke on the phone, and he said, "Chauncey, I have some really good news. You remember that feature I was working on the year prior?" I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" "Well, just to let you know that project was greenlit, and I'm going to be shooting that movie this year." I said, "Okay, cool, that's great." He said, "Chauncey, I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to put it out, but I want to know if you're interested in being my PA for my first movie." I was like, "Yeah, I would love to. What do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, Chauncey, all I want you to do is to come on set and to take pictures. I don't need any videos, but just to have pictures to promote the film on our website. That's all I want." I was like, "Van, you can count on me. Let me know the dates and I'll be ready to go." I received the email from Van, and it listed in email that he was going to be shooting this film 3 times throughout the year of 2011. Within that email, I was able to read the script, and he named the movie Solace. I read the script, and it was really, really detailed, and it really drew me in on the importance of character development and how everything tied together within these 6 characters. The April shoot came, and our location was at a warehouse in West End of Atlanta. I walked into the warehouse, and everybody was busy. I saw Van just telling people where to go. It was really, really fast paced just for the setup time, because time on set is crucial, especially when other people's schedules are involved. It's necessary. I was able to see the 2 characters for the first scene. It was a male and female. I'll say early 40s, I would say. The male was the antagonist, the female was the protagonist, and it was a kidnapping scene. The props were metal chairs and, of course, a handgun. This was a very intense scene. While I'm taking pictures, I'm able to see and sometimes listen to how Van was able to direct them, but also take suggestions from his producer. Even though he was in charge, he kept the set very, very calm, very, very light, and it stuck with me on how he was able to direct these very, very experienced actors. The July shoot date came, and our location was outside near an abandoned apartment complex in East Point. That production day was hot, like hot. But thankfully, Van put us in the shade so it can be consistent with the lighting choice that he wanted, which I appreciate him for doing that, because that weather that day was brutal. My job was still the same as a PA, and that was to just take pictures. However, this day, Van needed my assistance with the scene that was coming up with two other actors, two males, one black, one white. The black male was more the hood character, and the white male was the corporate type of look, if I explained that correctly. The props we used that day for that scene were a handgun, a Black & Mild, a Ford Explorer SUV, and a watch that the white actor was using for the scene. There was a part in the scene where Van needed a tracking shot of the Ford Explorer, and the DP, director of photography, Rob, had a dolly that he needed someone to push him back and forth between the dialogue. Van asked me, "Hey Chauncey, have you worked on a dolly before?" I was like, "No, Van, but I can learn." He said, "Great. All I want you to do is, when I call action, to just push the dolly lightly on the track, back and forth, and that's it." I was like, "That's it?" "Yeah, that's it. All I want to get is a clean tracking shot. That's all I want." I said, "Van, okay." The actors were in position. Van called action, and I'm moving as slowly as possible. The tracking shot was clean, but it wasn't the only shot that he needed. I had to do that same shot almost 10 times. And let me tell you something, my back, I had to do a little bit of stretching because I had to kind of stoop down a little bit low to push it. And my back, y'all, I felt it. After Van said cut, I asked him, "Hey, were the tracking shots good enough for you?" I said, "Yeah, man, just, relax. We're about to take a break." So that tracking shot, boy, I'll never forget that. The November shoot date came, and the location that we were using was a house in downtown Atlanta. Now, this house was one of those historic Atlanta homes that were remodeled. It was aesthetically pleasing. It was a 3-story home, and we had a lot of space to utilize the scene that Van was shooting that day. The actors were a white male and white female in their mid-40s. Now, the white female I recognized immediately when she walked into the home. And I recognized her because you remember when in one of the episodes I mentioned that in order for me to learn how to edit, I downloaded movies and created music videos for them. Well, one of the movies that I downloaded and turned into a music video was The Blind Side. This actress that came into the home was in The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. I asked Van, I said, "Hey Van, was she in The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock?" It's like, "Oh yeah, that's her." In my mind, and how did you able to get her for this project? He's like, "My producer." So respect to the producer, because even though she's not a A-list celebrity, to be able to be in a movie with Sandra Bullock is kind of a little bit of rub. Since this was the last scene of the day, production was actually less hectic than the first two. We were able to utilize pretty much every part of the home: the dining room, the hallway, the stairs, the reading room, and the bedroom. Now, for this particular scene, they were husband and wife, very rich, very wealthy, and there was a secret that was mentioned that I can't say on this because I want you guys to watch the movie. And this was the most intense scene out of all the other two. Because when husband and wives argue, they argue. There were parts in the scene that were so funny that we had to contain ourselves because, when the audio is recording, the mics are sensitive and it could pick up almost anything. So we had to hold back tears from laughing because it was so authentic, so real, and it was like I was a part of something huge. Everything was wrapped, and Van and I spoke for a few minutes before I left. And he asked me, Chauncey, what did you learn from just being on set for my film Solace? I said, Van, honestly, I'm overwhelmed by so much information from you and your crew, because me being a videographer trying to get into film, it was something that I always wanted to do. But I said, what I learned was you really were able to keep everybody calm. You were able to keep everybody on schedule. You were a leader. Also, your writing style is so superb to me because you're able to give detailed information when it comes to the dialogue and the characters. He said, Chauncey, that's all I wanted you to do, is to learn, but learn it your way. I can recall vaguely the night that I came home after shooting the last scene of Solace. And I'm happy that I was able to have an older gentleman to bring me under his wing, to give me a chance to prove that I'm worthy enough to be taught and to take advice on how to be a filmmaker from Van. The relationship I have with Van now is just as great it was when we first met. I was 25 years old, and to be on my first film set ever was a moment of my life where things changed. It changed because those moments made me want to be a filmmaker for real.
Thank you for listening to the One More Chaunce podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.